Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. Let's talk about Survivor 44, episode 8.
But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/Nerdtainment.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. We're a little early today for a change. How about
Look
that?
At
I said I'm
us.
not going to keep the people waiting. I'm going to sneak away from work early today.
You're like, work, schmirk.
Work, schmirk. That is how I felt about it today.
Yay.
Yes.
Well, we have an episode to talk about because it was like a new twist. It was like a lot of people could be voted out and like one person immune.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And we're evening things up, right? And
a little bit.
Yeah, it was an unexpected vote. Like they didn't give it away in advance of tribal.
Oh my God.
Kept us in the dark a little bit.
Which
is exciting.
New idea.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping it would go another way, but we can discuss that when we get there.
Interesting.
But at the beginning of the episode, we're coming back from the last tribal council where Jam Jam was once again feeling like he was in danger. It was Matt, of course, who went home. And, you know, Jam Jam's coming back to camp and he's very much feeling like, oh, I thought it was done again.
He's like, thank you.
Yeah. And Lauren and the Ratu crew are like, we got you. Like, we're working with you. Come on, stop that. You're with us. We're with you. So, you know, who knows if that's really true or not, but I'm sure he's feeling a little bit like, okay, maybe I have a crew who has my back.
Well, you got to at least make you think that, you know, if you're like, we almost voted you out, but we did the other person instead.
We got you.
Come on.
Come on, don't be that way. Make him feel real comfortable for when they do vote him out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Franny, on the other hand, having a rough night.
She is lost at sea, everybody. She's crying. I mean, I get it. Like,
oh, yeah.
You kind of just have to, you can't suppress all of this. You have to let it out.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's only so many tears that you need to cry and you just need to cry them out. And like, then you can move on and be done with it. So she needs to feel these big feelings that she's having. I think especially like with the split tribe, it was a difficult thing. Yeah, she didn't get her last final afternoon with Matt, you know?
And it's, I think it's okay. Like sometimes you have to hide these emotions.
Yeah.
But people know.
People knew.
So it's fine. Get it out. I feel bad for you, Franny. But I think you're going to be okay.
Well, Brandon and Kane do not think she's going to be okay because they're off to the side and they're like, what she's really crying about is she knows she's in the minority and she's in danger.
Boop, okay.
She is not crying over Matt.
They were like, look at us. We did the best move. We're killing it. Yeah. They're feeling good.
They're feeling good for a lot of the episode, I'll say. Yeah. Because they have the numbers now. Heidi, of course, is on damage control with Jam Jam. She's like, look, you know.
Oh, my Lord.
I had to do what I had to do. Like, this, you understand, right? And, you know, she's worried about the Ratu orange sort of majority that's happening. But, you know, she's just trying to figure out what she can repair with Jam Jam.
I don't know how you repair this. Like we talked about this last week. Bad mood. There was a discussion in our ratings video of like, was she forced to use it?
I know.
Because we both were like, don't use it. But Chantel and we had James from season 43 on.
Yeah.
They were both like, I think she was forced to use it.
That seems ridiculous.
Yeah. Why would you be forced?
You need to have a choice of whether you use an advantage that's put in the game, you know? Because even people who have immunity they could give the immunity necklace to someone else. They don't have to use it for themselves. Like there's still an element of agency in Survivor all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But obviously she used it and now she needs to like make Jam Jam feel a little bit better.
Yeah. And so she's all like, we misfits. We got to stick together. I'm like, since when did you become a misfit?
I was like,
Heidi.
You? You're a misfit? When you say that to a Tika.
Yeah.
No. You could say that to maybe someone else and get away with it.
It's like a hot person saying they're a nerd. You know what I mean?
But to a nerd.
Yeah, right.
And you're like, no. No.
No, you're not.
You're not. But she's obviously like, hey, let's go against Ratu. Like that's the bottom line.
Yeah. And Jam Jam, Carolyn, and Carson are getting together and they're kind of realizing, we can exhale a little bit now because we're in the middle. Which is where we've wanted to be. And Jam Jam, like, sorry, you've been up for the vote a couple of times now, but I actually think maybe we're in the clear now. And we can kind of just go back and forth between Ahsoka and Ratu. and just pick them off one by one. You know, they feel like they are the sort of like floaters, right? They can float to whatever side they want to.
Yeah, like they're literally seeing the war. The war is a brewing, and it ain't with them.
Right.
So let them fight, and we'll figure out how we fit in the middle. Keep being underestimated. And I was like, yes. Like they said the words underestimated, and I was like, that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Embrace it, because it's so good.
Yeah, that's where you want to be for sure.
Yeah.
Kane now is feeling very good on the Ratu tribe. I mean, he had a rough first vote, right? In the like pre-merge situation, he was definitely in danger, but he's feeling really good now. Ratu Orange has the majority. I think you mentioned this in a recent video. Like it's been a minute since we've seen pre-merge tribal lines drawn so clearly.
Yes.
Like they are really sticking to their original tribes this season. And so Kane's feeling like we've got the numbers. We're good. We can pull these Tika people over. We're just going to pick off Sokka, and then we can pick off the rest. And he's like, I know you're not supposed to get cocky, but it just is hard not to feel a little bit cocky right now.
Oh, it's not this hard, Kane. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. He is... he says some words that are clearly going to come back and haunt him.
Yeah.
I mean, they already haunt him in this tribal coming up. But he says it's their game to lose. And if they don't, they messed it up.
They did something wrong.
Well, here we
How
are.
easily things can go wrong.
Oh, boy, Kane. The editors love it when you
say
things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Like, thank you for that. I'm going to file that away.
But you know what? Before that conversation, you missed one of my favorite.
Oh, please.
My favorite lines. Lauren is talking to Carolyn.
Okay.
And she says, I know we haven't really connected like that, but I think you should be trying to work with me.
Huh.
What? What, Lauren?
Lauren doesn't know this. That's not something you say to Carolyn.
Well, I don't think you should say it to anybody. But you should want to work with me. Carolyn, of course, did one of her great faces of like, huh?
Yeah.
I was like, did I hear that?
Carolyn will hear a line like that, and she'll be like, on the day of my daughter's wedding. You know, it's like, that's the kiss of death. Like, I will. Don't act like I don't know what I'm doing. You know, Carolyn does not like being spoken down to or disregarded, and not good for Lauren. Methinks.
I mean, I can't imagine it goes well.
Yeah.
But now, poor
Carson. We saw this in the preview from last week's episode. He's like projectile vomiting on the beach, and everyone's just kind of like cringing from afar, like, ooh, is he okay? He's like clearly not good.
No.
But he's just having a rough time. It's not clear like exactly why he's sick. Usually when people get sick like this, it's like right after a reward, when they've stuffed themselves.
Well, he did overstuff himself with the PB&Js, but like, why would you be sick from too many PB&Js?
No, I'm looking at like dairy or a lot of red meat,
right?
Or like acidy kinds of things that might make you sick, but I don't know.
This was confusing, but his poor little system was not happy.
Yeah.
He's not well. And then we get tree mail. We never get tree mail. Whoa,
Excuse me. Sorry, I felt the tickle and I was trying to prevent it, but I couldn't. More wine.
I think wine produces the tickle. Doesn't that? Well, whatever. We rarely get tree mail, so here we are.
I know, yeah. I mean, the tree mail is here to announce that they need to divide into pairs before the immunity challenge. And this is like a moment because Carson's been sick, right? So Carson specifically is like, I'm so sorry that one of you has to be with me. I guess I'll leave it up to all of you to decide.
Well, it was so bizarre because a lot of times when we have to like pair up, you don't want to be like, oh, hey, you, or what? Like they'll draw straws or do some sort of rock thing.
Yeah.
But like Jamie opens the gate. She's like, Heidi, how about I let you and me?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that was bold. But then that allowed everyone to be like, oh, I guess we're just doing this.
Free for all. Yeah.
And Carolyn, being Queen Carolyn, is like, I got Carson. Don't worry.
I will take you under my wing.
Yes.
You're my guy.
Yes.
So yeah, it's Heidi and Jamie, Carolyn and Carson, and then we've got Jam and Franny, Lauren and Danny.
Well, Danny ends up getting stuck with Lauren. Like we see
Did
pairs.
Brandon and Kane form before them?
I guess so, because Lauren goes, well, I guess that means you're stuck with me, Danny.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, cool. And then he's like, ooh.
Yeah, because she also acknowledges in her confessional, she's like, I haven't been eating. I'm feeling weak. Like, I'm kind of not the ideal partner here. So I don't know who's going to want to work with me. She kind of ends up with a good one in Danny, in my opinion. Like, she's probably feeling great, except that she's like, I hope I can keep up with him.
Yes. Yeah. No, I would be happy to be paired up with Danny at this point.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to this immunity.
Oh, boy.
Now, I was happy that the tree mail said one necklace, one person immune. I was like, finally, that's what we do with the merge.
That's right.
But then they were like, pair up. And I was like, why can't we compete individually?
I know.
But it was this, we've seen this before.
Yeah.
Where we're going to go in stages as pairs, but eventually the last round.
Yeah.
It will be an individual.
Right. 4 people make it to the last round, and it's 2 teams of 2 making it to the last round, but then they're no longer teams. It's an individual game at that point.
And then when we see that last round, though, I'm like, standing on those pegs leans towards those small feet, which tend to be women.
Which I think the 2 people with the smallest feet were the final 2 on that.
Really?
Yeah. Danny and Lauren. Because Brandon and Kane have giant feet, I think.
Oh, right. But I'm talking about the whole group. So I'm looking at that final stage and I'm like, get me a Franny there. Get me a Lauren there. Like, get the women. The problem is, how do we get the women
can you imagine
to the last stage?
Jamie's tiny feet on those little platforms?
Yeah, like Jamie and Heidi making it there together. Like, that would have been forever.
Yes.
The 2 of them would have hung on forever.
Yeah.
But, the way that this is set up, we don't get as many.
Right. So the first stage is that dreaded net that we saw Noelle get hung up in last season, and we see Carolyn get hung up in it this season.
Of course.
But it's just brutal the way it twists around itself, and you sort of have to barrel roll your way through it to unwind the net and make it out the other side, and you're rolling through the mud. So everyone's just filthy and covered in mud by the end of this first stage.
Oh my gosh. And what was the best part? Carolyn being stuck in a net while Carson with zero energy is like, that's it.
Carolyn,
you got it.
Carolyn, I think you have to unwind.
That just the net. Good job. Keep going.
He can't yell. He's just like, I guess I'll try to talk. Like, you gotta.
Oh,
I think
my
you have
God.
to undo it.
I was howling.
So funny.
During that part.
I know.
Danny and Jam Jam are going to get through it.
Yep.
Jam.
And then Brandon and Kane.
Oh, I wrote that wrong.
Right? But you're right that Danny and Jam Jam get through the net first.
Okay.
Then Jam Jam and Franny get to the digging first.
Copy
because Lauren's taking a little bit longer to get through the net with Danny, right?
Okay.
So it's Jam Jam and Franny who are digging for the plank first. Then Brandon and Kane get to the plank and are digging. Then Brandon and Kane are the first to get the plank out of the sand, right? So they're the first team that's moving on. It's 4 teams that are going to move on from this stage to the next one. So we're all kind of seeing the writing on the wall when Carolyn's just shrieking and flailing in the net. However, she finally makes it through.
Look, true to Carolyn just being on her own planet.
Yeah.
She takes the whole time. So she's in no way in contention, right?
Yeah.
But she finishes just in time to force Carson just to get muddy.
Just to get in.
I mean, if she had stayed in there like 3 more seconds, Carson wouldn't have had to do anything.
And if I'm Carson, I'm standing there like, do I have to go in?
Yeah, no, at this point when you're like,
is it worth it?
Me? Really?
But it's like, you just got to be in for Survivor and do it. So he's like, okay.
He's like, here I go.
I'm going to crawl in.
As Jeff's like calling in. He's like,
and then he's just stuck there. So we get the moment of everyone like unwinding the net while poor Carson, they're probably flipping him around in circles and he's so nauseated.
I was like, is he going to puke in the net?
Yeah.
Like, that's not good for you when you're feeling nauseous.
But Carolyn and Carson are the first team eliminated, right? So then the next one, they've got this bag of planks. So they have to climb up this net as a duo. And then it's place these 3 planks across this bridge, right? But you have to very much work together to place these planks properly, balance, and get across as a duo without falling and having to go back. And this one, I don't think we really saw much falling.
No, they did it pretty well.
People moving at different paces. So it was just the fastest two that made it through.
Yeah. Kane and Brandon are the first ones to get through. And I was like, look at these guys like working so well together.
Big guys.
And they wanted each other. Well, Brandon wanted Kane out, but they weren't working well together earlier in the game. And they were working very well together in this.
Yeah.
And then Danny and Lauren are going to move on at this point.
So that's our final four. So here's where it becomes this individual challenge. Like we've been saying, it's the foothold, challenge where they're just got the very outer edge of their feet on these things and they get narrower as time goes on. My favorite part of the first section of this challenge is Carolyn's just itchy. She's up off the bench. They're sitting on those, standing on those platforms and they're feeling the pain. And she's like, got ants in my pants. Like
covered in mud.
What's going on?
Itchy. So they do the first level, they move down, and then they get to move down again.
Yeah, they go to the third tier, all four of them.
This is when Kane is going to fall and then Brandon is going to fall, leaving us with Danny versus Lauren as our final two.
Yes, that's right. And Danny chooses to take a moment and fart.
Jeff, Danny, fart. What?
And they
left it in.
They thought, let's keep it.
They were like, that's going in the edit.
That's TV gold, they said.
Well, I don't know that it was gold.
I don't know.
But it was a choice for all involved.
Yeah.
Starting with Danny.
They have to move down to the last tier, the two of them. And so then it's just like a waiting game. Who's going to do this? And it becomes, this is the team, right? Where it was like Lauren saying, like, I'm tired. I have no energy. I haven't been eating. I don't know if I'm going to be a valuable member of whatever team. Maybe Danny carried her through the early stages of it.
Right.
But she's here. She's got those tiny feet.
I put my money on her at this point.
Yeah. And Danny does eventually drop. And Lauren doesn't know what to do with herself.
She's shook.
She's freaking out as she goes up to Jeff and she's like, my kids in my classroom and at home. And this is a bucket list item. And I never thought I would be here. I never thought I would win an individual immunity. And then she's kind of like standing there awkwardly, like 3 feet from Jeff. And he's like, okay, come here. And so then she's like, can I hug? And he's like, well, let me do the necklace first. Now we can hug. And then she walks away and he's like, where are you going?
Wait. Yeah, she was like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah, she's like, my feet hurt. I haven't eaten. I don't know what I'm doing.
Where do I go? Am I here? What? Yeah. No, she was like not in her body
not
anymore.
Briefed properly, it seemed.
But it was adorable. It was very exciting.
Yeah.
She is the first woman of color, or maybe first Black woman, to win an individual immunity in the new era.
Really?
That was a stat I read last night. Lauren Ashley Beck was the last one.
Wow.
And that was a while.
Marianne and Erica did not win immunities. Interesting. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't you love stats, guys?
We do love stats. So congratulations to Lauren. That's huge.
Yeah.
She's safe. She's still got her extra vote with her. So, she's definitely been a target because of that extra vote, but that's not going to be on the table. And she was
literally Danny's target. So I have to imagine if she had not saved herself at this moment, her name would have come up. Right? We know they're going to go for a Ratu. So.
Right. Yeah. So right back when we get back to camp. Ratu, they have the numbers. I think they have Tika or can get Tika. So
they're including Carson from the get-go. Did you notice that?
Well, he's a Ratu now.
Brandon's like, Ratu with and he named Carson. I was like, oh.
They think they've got him for sure. Carson he's done a good job.
He has.
Yeah. So they're talking Franny is the target because they want to get out another Soka. But if they can't get her, Jam Jam could be a backup, right? Like I think he's going to be that perpetual sort of name that's safe to write down, like you've said before.
Did you hear them say Jam Jam?
I thought I did. Or maybe they were saying maybe we can get Jam Jam to vote.
They could get Jam Jam's vote.
Oh, maybe I misheard then.
And then Jam Jam was like making jokes about it. Are you targeting me?
I know, I love that. He said it right to his face.
Yeah.
He was like, you're not targeting me, are you? And Jam Jam has that personality where he can get away with that kind of thing.
It works. And they were like, oh, no. Because I genuinely think they were only going to do Ahsoka. So, but we're only hearing Franny's name really.
Yeah.
And then Danny and Heidi nod along like they're supposed to.
Yeah, they're like, we're in. Mm-hmm.
But as we like now move forward in the conversation, we don't really ever come back to the Ratus, right? We don't ever hear the rest.
It's all about this information that emerges on the Soka side. Danny reveals to Heidi that he has the idol. And then knowledge is power. That information spreads, right? So he tells her, I've got the idol and I will play it for Franny. Meanwhile, Heidi's been off talking about, I need the 3 Soka and the 3 Tika to come together and get out of Ratu. So that's her strategy. And so when she finds out that Danny has an idol, she goes and uses that information to attempt to recruit Tika to work with them.
Yes. And interestingly, Carson wasn't really going to jump on that. Like, I thought Tika's going to love it.
I don't know what game Carson is playing, to be honest. I was shocked at this.
Well, I think he was more of a Ratu than I realized.
Yeah.
He had sold himself to that tribe when they did the swappy swap.
Yeah.
And so even though he's playing the middle, he didn't want to, what's the word? He didn't want to like
choose a
go
side or
against
something.
Ratu specifically. Going against Soka's a little easier.
Yeah.
But not Ratu specifically. So I was like, oh, okay. I just didn't realize all of this.
It's just, it's like Heidi's got Brandon in her sights. That's who she wants to take out here.
Yes.
She's talking to Jam Jam and Carolyn, right? Jam Jam's like, I need to talk to Carson because Carson is really the ringleader of that trio, right? And everything has to be run by Carson. So again, he's just really very well positioned.
Beautifully.
But then Heidi has that moment where she tells Carson and Jam Jam at the well that Danny has the idol. And then Carson tells Danny. I don't understand that.
Well, I thought, okay, so Danny says to Carson, hey, I'm gonna use the idol and it'll be us voting. And Carson's like, well, they already know the plan. I don't feel like that's revealing too much. Did you?
Well, it just sort of sabotaged Danny using I don't know, it threw a kink in Danny using the idol for Franny. Because he basically is like, Jam Jam knows you have an idol. And we've heard a soundbite from Jam Jam saying, well, what if I go back to Ratu and tell them that Danny's going to play the idol on Franny and we could vote out Danny? And that's kind of what I wanted to happen because that's a delicious move, right? But then Carson goes and tells Danny, well, just so you know, like Jam Jam knows.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if playing the idol for Franny is really the best idea for you.
I thought it was great because not only does it allow Danny to fully have the information if they're going to make a move, like don't waste an idol, like have the information, but it covers Carson's butt because he's like, oh, I'm just telling you what Heidi did earlier. Like I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like you should, Jam Jam knows because Heidi said it. Like that's just me being honest and you trust me because I'm just telling you honest things.
Because he's just playing for himself.
I mean, he's playing so well. Everyone thinks that he's with them. But so at this point, the idol is out. It's common knowledge to Soka Tika. He's willing to play it on Franny.
And he's told her that, Danny.
And Franny is aware that she is the target and that this idol could be played on her. Like the emotions, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
But what we don't know is, has anyone revealed this to Ratu, Brandon or otherwise?
Right.
Does Brandon have a clue that his name is out there? And, what can we believe from Carson? Because he now seems like he's on board for this, but we don't really know.
Yeah.
And then this is when we go to tribal. So I'm like, I have no idea who's leaving and who might be playing an idol.
No clue.
And for a moment, I was like, and is Jamie going to get involved and like throw a fake one in the mix?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. She's not gonna. No.
Mm-hmm.
So we go to tribal. It's kind of like everyone's just anxious at this tribal. And I think it's because there just hasn't been a clear majority alliance that's emerged, which I think is really fun. But people are more or less following their original tribal lines. I think Carson is really the only person who's like toggling two of, the original tribes between Ratu and Tika. But, Carolyn's giving us like nothing is ever certain. And Jam Jam is like, you have to know what's going on behind the scenes. It's like the vague. We're just all nervous. And Heidi's like, my anxiety is at a 10. And Jamie's like, -2, but I just know how to smile through it. But we're all like losing it right now because we don't know who to trust.
Because guess what? So many are able to be voted out for the first time this entire season.
Yeah.
Do we have an entire group of people who could technically go?
Yeah, I wonder. I didn't like do like cross-reference and all of that, but like half of the merged tribe for the past 2 votes has been safe. Yes. I wonder how many people this is their first time, since the merge being up for a vote. So yeah, the anxiety is extra
I'll tell you
high.
one person I did do the math on, and that was Brandon. This was the first time that he has been sitting at a tribal unsafe.
Interesting.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's been so bizarre with the way that we've done tribals and multiple people safe that they were especially nervous because they're just now playing Survivor, it seems like.
And this has literally been Brandon's first tribal since the first episode because he played that idol to save himself and Maddie went home and then Matthew was evacuated and there was no tribal that.
Well, no, Brandon was in last week's tribal where he got Matt out.
But he was immune. Yeah. So that's what I mean. I guess first tribal where he is up for a vote since that very first tribal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what you missed the handsome jury member sitting over there.
Oh, Matt, this is my favorite part of the whole jury segment. Is when Franny's talking about intersecting arrows and Matt's
heart-shaped eyes were popping out of his head like a cartoon character at Franny the whole time. She walks up to vote and he's like,
yeah. He can't. He's like a little puppy dog.
Yeah, he can't. He is falling more in love with her just sitting over there in the jury box.
Yeah.
And anytime someone mentioned her name, he's like,
that's my girl. Yeah.
Oh my God. The best.
So cute.
So cute.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Vague.
Vote. And we don't see anything in the vote.
We don't see anything. Still, I'm like,
what's happening? And I'm mostly thinking about like, I'm pretty confident Danny's going to play his idol, but I'm wondering, is it on himself or on Franny? And I'm thinking, play it for yourself. Play it for yourself. Don't be like this martyr that's like trying to make this big move because we've seen that go awry so many times before.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, do you play it for Franny because I want them to flip the vote on you? And then that's like an amazing move kind of thing.
Yeah.
He gets up, plays it for Franny. Matt's probably losing it, right? He like can't, he's beside himself. He's like, what?
For Franny? For Franny? She's playing it for Franny. He's so excited. Yeah. And I'm like, does Brandon and the Ratchus know? Like, what? We just have no information, right?
I know.
So Franny is safe. And then we get exactly the vote.
Yeah.
Almost exactly.
Almost exactly.
We get a ton of Franny. Doesn't count. Matt's like beaming at every it doesn't count.
Yeah.
And then boom, Brandon.
Boom.
Brandon's like, oh.
Yeah. Brandon.
3 votes. Brandon's up.
Yep. And I was interested in this. I mean, ultimately, one thing I think is interesting is that Carolyn flipped. Carolyn voted with Soka to get Brandon out. There were 4 votes on Brandon and 6 on Franny. If all of Ratu and Tika had been together, it just would have been the 3 Soka votes on Brandon. And so I was just curious. I had to imagine that Ratu went in thinking we've got all the Tikas with us. So why wasn't there a conversation about splitting the vote?
Right. Such a good question. So Brandon, in his exit press, please go watch, spoke with him this morning. He says that he thought the votes were going to be split. He's making it sound like just a miscommunication, that Franny was the target, but that they did think that an idol was at play. So Danny would get some votes just in case. But he's like, we just never circled back to talk about it.
Interesting.
Yeah. He was like, it was just kind of sad. And then we just like never circled back. So he's saying he went into tribal thinking the votes were split, but that when Danny played the idol for Franny, Lauren's face was like, no, we didn't split any votes. Like, we're screwed. And that was his first inkling, like, oh, shoot.
I mean, ultimately, it wouldn't have mattered.
What?
because with a split 6 vote, they had 6 votes on Franny. So with a split, they'd be 3-3, right? So, and with 4 on Brandon, he still would have gone home. But it just was interesting. Like, wow, that was really your strategy. You just all decided to vote for Franny when you had this like super majority where you could have maybe done something.
Yeah.
So
that was a massive fail on multiple people's parts.
Yeah.
To just either go all in blindly thinking you had all the votes or just not circling back. You know, that's really hard to believe, but like, if that's the case, like what?
Yeah.
Then Kane, when you said Aratu is going to win, I don't know if y'all can't circle back on votes.
Not good.
That is in no bueno. But I do love the way that the voting line went, because I think even though they didn't show us, and obviously we didn't know how the voting was going to go, but the fact that Carson knew about the idol play, didn't have to show his cards. He still voted with Ratu. Looks like he had no idea. Jam Jam did amazing acting. He was like, oh, when all of this went down, voted on the way with Ratu. He hasn't ruined any of those relationships since they just saved him, that kind of thing. And then Carolyn, she doesn't care. She doesn't like Brandon. She's happy to vote him out.
Yeah.
And it looks like she's not voting along with Jam Jam. This is really good for them to vote separately. So I think it actually worked out really good for Tika.
I think so too. I also was interested that like Danny pretty much abandoned that whole like Muscle Bro alliance. Remember that reward with Carolyn where they were like, you and me, bro, like, yeah, let's do this once we get to merge. And Danny apparently was pretty quick to be like, you know what? I'm fine with Brandon going.
Yeah, and I guess Brandon was too, if he's saying like Danny was a possibility. I guess it was like, love to work with you.
But no.
But I gotta best you and like take your numbers down. I don't know. I do love though that like, you know, they were willing to get rid of Josh and they were willing to get rid of Kane. Like early on, they got rid of like, they were willing to get rid of their own people and to a point. And then they were like, no, we're going to be tribe strong.
Yeah.
Like these are my numbers.
Yeah.
And I think to that point, Danny had to play the idol for Franny to keep his very low numbers.
Yeah.
Right. Like he has Heidi. And then if he doesn't have Franny, that's really it.
Yeah.
Because he lost Matt.
That's right.
And he maybe sometimes kind of has Tika Purple. He doesn't really.
No, he was very focused on we have to get a Ratu out. And he succeeded.
Yeah.
They got a Ratu out.
Yeah. So I definitely think that was a smart play on Danny's part. I know it's hard to play your idol for other people, but I kind of feel like that's the way it should go at this point, right? Like you got plenty of time to get Franny out later.
Yeah.
But right now, Danny needs the numbers.
Yeah, he does. So good on him. That was a really good move. Really tough to play an idol correctly like that for another person. So kudos to him. And the next episode preview is Danny sort of going into super drive now. He's just made a huge move to save Franny with an idol that he found. He's back in the jungle looking for another idol. So I think we're going to see Danny like really playing the game super hard. And honestly, it's just going to be like, how long can he last? I think everyone's going to be after him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he definitely put himself out there playing an idol. So,
and everybody already knows he's like a huge immunity threat.
Exactly.
You know, so
people were already going to eye him.
And Brandon was his like kind of only shield. That's probably why he wanted to keep Brandon in that whole reward thing. Because he's like, you're another big immunity threat. And now he's gone. So Danny is like very vulnerable right now.
And I feel really good about Carolyn, Carson, and Jam Jam.
I do. I still want Carolyn to win, but I just don't think she's going to be able to argue her case effectively in a final 3 situation.
I think she will. If she can make it to final 3, I feel just fine about her case.
Okay.
But
I'm just thinking, I think she could have a good case, really good but can she communicate it? Like
right,
succinctly?
No, I hear you. Yeah.
But
even if she was like, "Wah!" I'd be like, yeah, you're right. You get it.
Over Carson.
I'm going to vote you. Not over Carson.
Okay.
Carson can sit there and tell me about his 3D puzzling at home.
Yeah.
And Yeah, no, I give it to Carson at this point,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still too early.
Still too early. Yes.
It's too early.
And I'm just pleased that my guy Kane is still in the game.
Kane is still there. You're left with Kane.
I don't know that he's earning me many points, but at least I'm alive.
Yeah, I lost Brandon. Brandon is my guy.
Okay.
So I am down to Carson and Danny.
That's a good team, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're like pulling into the lead.
I'm still winning.
Wow.
With the points. With 49. Jesse's right behind me with 41. You're at 33. Chantel, 29. Come on. Come on. Okay. She's got Jamie and Jam Jam. Yeah, those aren't big point getters. No. Although Jamie can win.
Yeah, she might.
Some immunities.
Yeah.
And then she can play a fake idol.
There you go.
All right, you guys. Yes, if you haven't watched Brandon's exit interview with me, please go watch that. And everyone in the chat, you're the best. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, the best, especially early. And for those of you joining us after the live, please leave us a comment and let us know how you feel about Brandon leaving, Danny's idol play for Franny, Matt's loving looks at Franny from the jury box. Is that something we're going to see for the rest of the season? The answer is yes. And who do you think is in danger next? Let us know what you think.
Yeah. Where do this 3-3-3 now?
Yeah.
Where does this go?
Yes.
Let us know how you feel. Oh, and then tomorrow, ratings are tomorrow, Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern with Mike Bloom.
Fun.
And Chantel. So please join me for that.
Very good. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.